This is the first ever audio drama I made. I'm gonna call it the Gen Wang of the podcasts. And this is how I made it. So the school I was attending was having an event, and all the classes can do like an activity or a show that the school will show at the event. But my class didn't have any activities to do, and that is when it hit me. At that time, I was listening to the audio drama Batman Unburied on Spotify. I fell in love with how they made the story come to life without any narrations, but just dialogues and sounds. And I finished the series about 3 days after the event was announced. And that's what inspired me. Basically, this is like cinematography, except it's much cheaper and requires less work to be done. One night, me and my classmates were talking about the event and thinking of which activity to do because we've heard that all the other classes are doing at least one activity. We don't want to be left out, you know. And that's how I got the idea. Since my class doesn't have any activities in mind, I thought, why not give this a try? So basically, I thought of a story right on the spot, right in the middle of the conversation. And I came up with a surprisingly good storyline. I told my friends about it, and everyone liked it. Coming up with a storyline wasn't that difficult, but getting people is a little bit tricky. Casting is like the core of it. As this is an audio drama, if the voices doesn't sound like what they're supposed to sound, it would be, well, not good. So what I did was I sent out a form to the student group so they could fill out. And quite a lot of people were interested in it and filled the form. So I had the people who had joined, and now comes the neat part. Casting the characters. I took a look at the list of people who signed up, and thanks to me being super extroverted back then, I've talked with all of them before. So I know how each person sounds, like the way they talk and stuff. Then I gave the characters to the people who I think would be able to nail it. And it turned out pretty well. Now we have the storyline and the casts, but a massive chunk of the project was missing: the script. At the time, I was only brainstorming ideas, like the storyline and stuff, but I haven't done any of the script. And we only have like a week before the event, and I still gotta do a whole ton of editing. So I have no choice but to ask the casts to write the scripts for their parts. I called a meeting, described the scenes, and asked them to take care of the scripts. And yet again, it turned out really well. While doing the scripts, I was also finding the software to edit all the recordings and sounds. And that's when I found AudioMass. It's an audio editing website, and the thing is fully packed with all the features and stuff. It took about 3 days to finish the scripts and to get the recordings of the lines. And then it was time for the music. Music plays a big part in audio dramas. They add another dimension to it. I get most of my audio from Fesliyanstudios.com. I'll put a link in the description. That website has a huge library of sound effects, and it's copyright free. And yes, you can download it for free. And then came the problem. The script was too long. We couldn't have a long story to show in the event. So I had to cut out a whole ton of parts, and the story sounded incomplete. But it doesn't stop there. Since I couldn't really get hold of how AudioMass works, as it's my first time and I have no knowledge of audio editing prior to that became the disadvantage. Because I didn't know how the interface worked well, I couldn't add layers to the sound or anything. So the end result became something like this.
We got helicopters in your ass, Dad. Stand out.
There wasn't any depth to it. You can only hear one sound at a time. So this really messed with the dramatic scenes and the action scenes. fun fact, I didn't finish editing until the day of submission of the activities. I had to do the editing for the last part of the podcast in the middle of a class. Yeah. So basically, this podcast wasn't really that good, I would say, but for the first ever podcast I did, I'm hella proud of it. And when it was shown at the event, it received a pretty decent response. So I would say this is a success. The podcast will be uploaded on my other socials, so go check it out. The last time I listened to the podcast was a year ago. Should I listen to it again and do a reaction video? Let me know.